Welcome to a special edition of The Spin. It is just myself, Brian Spin. It is Thursday afternoon. Normally it's on Wednesdays, but after posting the article about Alex Gazan this morning, I think a lot of you guys have missed what's going on. You guys have not seen what the point of this entire article is. So I definitely want to clear this out, let you guys ask some questions, and I'll explain why all of you guys in the comments just do not get it. Barry McCockner, how's it going? Bubba. Let's see. Oh, Jake is 8th. All right. All right. So if you guys were not paying attention this morning, it all started with a Talking Elite Fitness interview with Alex Gazan. And I'll play that clip right here. And let's see. So she was on Talking Elite Fitness. They're talking about World Fitness Project a couple weekends ago. And Alex says this.
One of my methods when I can't sleep very well is to take like a microdose THC gummy of sorts. Like it's like mostly CBD, but it has a little bit, and will like nix that out of the in competition rules. So like you're allowed to. Anyway, I was like, no, don't take it, because sometimes it can have adverse effects where like you don't sleep and then you just feel, for lack of a better term, like high and not sleeping. And I was like, don't take it, just like lay there. And I tossed and turned, and all of a sudden it's like 1. I'm like, I'm gonna take it. And then so like I took it, and then like an hour and a half later when it like kicked in, I was like wide awake.
All right, so she says she takes a THC, microdosed THC gummy that is mostly CBD, but it does have some THC in it. And I mean, I don't know all of the anti-doping rules, but when she made the comment about Will saying I nixed that from it, it kind of piqued my interest. Like, wait, something is going on here. And so I started looking into it and following the rule book. So World Fitness Project does have its own rule book. And you'll see right here, page 2, it says that here is the anti-doping policy. We then go to the drug testing policy, which is I guess on the Google Drive. And you scroll down and it has all kinds of stuff about, testing in their testing pools, how it works when you do test for something that you shouldn't. Down here in the appendices, it says cannabinoids. And so, and just for a little clarification, this appendix, the World Fitness Project bans the following classes of drugs at all times and bans the following classes of drugs in competition. That is word for word the same as what is in the CrossFit Games drug policy. I think it's pretty standard. I think it may even be very similar to WADA, but just kind of, a little bit less detailed. But this is what the CrossFit Games has been dealing with or have been using for years. And they're not as WADA goes into a lot of detail about everything you can and cannot take. CrossFit basically points you to WADA to say, let's take a look at that. So cannabinoids, when you search what is under that, it technically is THC. And so let's see. If you go down here in the article, I kind of still follow that. All right, so cannabinoids are not allowed. And basically what WADA says in their rule book, it says cannabinoids are prohibited in competition. In competition, the definition of in competition per WADA is, you'll see it up here, the period commencing just before midnight on the day before the competition. So this would be Thursday night at 11:59 p.m. and it runs through the end of the competition and the sample collection process. So Sunday evening. So from that time period, there are certain things that you cannot take while you are competing. You can take those things outside of that window. So technically, Alex could take that on Thursday morning, assuming that she would not get tested for it and it would come under the 150 nanoliter or nanograms per milliliter. And so cannabidiol, I don't know. CBD does not fall under this, right? But actual cannabis, THCs, and synthetic cannabinoids that mimic THC are all banned in competition. Okay. So we know Gazan took it. She said she had taken it. But we don't know, does it violate the drug testing policy, right? Because you still have to be above a certain threshold. And so I'm basically calling that out. And when you think about the CrossFit Games season, right? Like Andrew Hiller was sanctioned for admitting that he used a substance that was banned. He was never tested and he received a 4-year sanction. Alex has technically admitted that she has used a banned substance. I think on Savon's podcast, she said that she used one that had 2 milligrams of THC in it. At the time of writing this, I didn't know if she maybe had a therapeutic use exemption. Not sure. And we don't know what her drug results or drug test has come back at. The comments immediately go to, well, why is THC even being a banned substance? You guys are missing the point. I don't care about that, right? Like, unfortunately, the rules are the rules. And I'm saying that the rules state that Alex should not have taken it. And she knows this, right? Like, if we go to, let's see, when she was talking to Savon on the phone today, here it is. She says this.
They're literally like CBD with microdose THC, and it's allowed out of competition. Like in the rules, you're allowed to have THC out of competition for the games.
Oh, you are? Okay, then
like
you're good.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
you're allowed to outside of the games, and then the only stipulation is like in competition, you're not supposed to have THC. And so like the games and all that, like I don't take them. But it's like I said, it's microdose, and so I kind of forgot and I took one and I was freaking out. And before the drug testing, I went and asked Will and I was like, hey, like, should I be worried? Like I think it's like 2 milligrams of THC for the one gummy. And he's like, no, you're fine. Like I took that out of the in-person section because if you're allowed to all the time, like it doesn't make a difference. I can guarantee you it did not enhance my performance. If anything, it fucked me up.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Hey,
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I'm more just nervous now. People are trolls on the internet, so this is about to probably be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Enjoy it. I'm glad you enjoy it.
So, Jake, I see you're in the comments. I think the performance enhancing drugs is a lot different than a sleepy gummy. I completely agree. And again, my whole point of this is not to say that I agree with what is being banned and not banned. Like personally, it's probably doesn't need to be part of it, right? Like things have changed. I don't know what is reasoning for saying that you cannot take it during a competition, right? Like why can you not take it during a competition, but you can take it a week prior to? So I'm not trying to argue that. I'm not even trying to say like that the WFP should sanction Alex. My biggest concern is what she said that Will told her. And that is, I've nixed that from in competition testing. I just showed you in the rule book that you can click on right now. It says that cannabinoids are not to be used during competition in the World Fitness Project's rule book. Anybody outside of Alex Gazan would not have information like this. And so if you think about, let's take a different scenario. Let's say that Brooke Wells was doing a podcast and she said that she took some THC and she was freaking out because she had a drug test. And she asked Dave about it. And Dave Castro said, don't worry, you're fine. I'm taking it out. Everybody would lose their freaking mind. Everybody. They'd say it's rigged. Dave Castro's protecting the people he likes. This is, it's just CrossFit being CrossFit. Now, there's a few people out there, but a lot of people are just attacking. Why is THC even being an issue? They're missing the point of a director of sport just said that, don't worry, I've changed the rules without changing the rules. Like, that's a problem. Right? Seth D, am I on her side, or is this more aimed at WFP and Will? I'm not trying to take a side on this. I'm trying to point out the issues that are in the comment section, right? And I think it also indicates, like, we've seen CrossFit in the past. I wrote about it last year, this Marsha Van Gladden. CrossFit has the ability to sanction an athlete who it's under a sanction by another governing body. And in Marsha's case last year, it was a master's competition in 2021, weightlifting. And CrossFit saw my article and they ended up giving her the sanction, and she could not compete at the CrossFit Games in the master's division. So the question is, does CrossFit do anything? Right? Does admission of taking something you're not supposed to be when competing in a competition that's not CrossFit Games related, does CrossFit have the right, the obligation to follow its rule book? It says may. Like, does that matter? Right? If WFP ends up sanctioning Alex because maybe her test comes back higher than what it should, and they're not going to listen to what Will said, but what the rules say, it's a little bit more clear cut. Like, my guess is CrossFit follows that. But if not, what does CrossFit do? Right? How do you handle a situation that's, in my opinion, pretty gray of, it's not a CrossFit Games competition. She just said she took it. We don't have a test at this point. If World Fitness Project doesn't report it because Will decided to not follow what's in the rule book, what does CrossFit do? Right? And you still have a situation where World Fitness Project is, and Will made a comment to an athlete that is in contrast to what they have written. So here we go. Alex, I think it's important to note that this was not a special rule for me. They have had this in policy since working with drug-free sport in March. I see the frustration of the rule book not being updated. Right. So if I'm Colton Mertens, or I'm whoever else, maybe not a pro athlete, I don't know, maybe this is communicated to the pro athletes and not others. And I need sleep and I need to take THC, but I don't because it's in the rule book on those 3 days. How do you manage that? right? Like what do you do about that? Riley, I'm going to take down the WFP. First of all, everything's forgotten about in a week, everything. But when people are in the comments and they are arguing about whether THC should or should not be banned, you guys are missing the point. And so I figured I'd go live and explain why I wrote it. It wasn't a slow news day, right? Like, these are things that you need to talk about if you want to be a professional sport. How does WFP handle it? If one thing was said, but the rule book says another, how do you handle it? What are you going to do? What is CrossFit going to do, given that one of their top athletes is in this situation? So, you know, that is what I wanted to jump on here for. Jeff, yes, there is a rule book out there. Go to the website. It's out there. Jessica, this will fall on Will, not Alex. Again, I don't know what's been discussed outside of what has actually been officially published. So we'll have to wait and see. I don't know what World Fitness Project will do. Will has not responded to a text last week about joining the podcast last night. I don't think they have any interest in talking. But anyway, that is what is going on with it. That is why I wanted to make the story. It's looking at the situation of what was said and how that could have an impact to everybody involved. I have no idea, Shiz, what the CBD brand is. So that's it, guys. He communicated the same rule to all the athletes. The only issue is the rulebook wasn't updated, but all the athletes were aware, so who cares? I don't know if that's true, Riley. Alex was concerned up into the drug test on Sunday. She had forgotten that she had taken it. So that would not be the case. Tyler, no call or text, rude. You can jump on at any time, Tyler, but you have the link. All right. I don't know. Anyway, that is all I got. Go check out the article, read it. I think I pretty much outlined it. I think a lot of people who did comment on it did not actually read the article. So do that and then go back and comment and see if I was unfair to Alex or anybody else.
I apologize to absolutely nobody.